I'm going through some major withdrawal symptoms right now. 3 days ago, I got off of Facebook. I've been off of Instagram for 2 months now, and I still think about it. I'm still thinking about it, but I'm doing this in order to simplify my life a bit and get back to being me, and being me in the quiet. Like right now, I'm talking into a camera, but right now, taking a walk outside, breathing, trying to detoxify my mind, trying to detoxify my mind. This world we live in is getting to be more toxic, more violent. But then it always has been these things. But this moment in time right now, it just seems darker. Like I woke up into a nightmare that I cannot wake from. At least that is how I felt on Tuesday last week. I woke up on Tuesday and I woke up in a pit. This pit of despair that snowballed through the day and culminated in the election going to a madman. And now I'm working to be at peace with this situation. My imagination runs wild. It runs wild with what could happen. Because as a student of history, studied history, I know what has happened to other peoples. Now maybe it's just my imagination running wild. And maybe nothing much will change. And probably that's true. It's probably very much true that not too much is going to change in the coming days and months. And maybe the things that are coming on will be good for us. That we have to confront our demons, or confront our dark sides, confront our addictions, our addictive behaviors. Those things that we use to try to cope with things in our lives that seem beyond our control. I don't drink booze anymore. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. And now I went off of Facebook. Going off of Facebook has been hard. I've been angling myself toward doing this for several months. I really want to go open the app up. It's still on. I haven't deactivated my account. I just paused the app on my phone, but so I could go look at it anytime. So it's like I quit smoking, but I still have a half a pack of cigarettes left on the counter, and I can just go back and have a cigarette at any time. And that's what this feels like right now. But it's time. It's time to reconnect our souls, our spirits. If you say all of that stuff doesn't exist and we are all accidents, a creation here, if there's no God, there's no nothing, and through the infinite combination of reactions and chemical reactions, we came to be. Because, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. What is here has been here forever. It's been here forever. It has never not been in existence. So maybe through just random strokes of keys of a dog typing away at a typewriter, through random strokes of keys, this universe that gave us birth came into being. So let's say that is the truth. There is no God, there is no afterlife, there is just us right now. Being less distracted. Things like social media or TV shows or whatever can bring the human person into harmony with this universe that is all around us, this beautiful place that we live in, and maybe we can concentrate on things that matter more. Family. You know, when my grandmother was passing away, she died in the house that I live in. She died in the house that I live in. I remember the last week that she was alive. And this was in 1993. She died in October 1993. My grandfather died in January of 1994. Grandma had throat cancer because she smoked all of her life. My mother was her caretaker. In the last week of her life, or 2 weeks of her life, one of my grandmother's, I think it was her fourth born child, third born child, who was a nurse, came to assist in that process. There was hospice nurses and things like that who came in to bring vital supplies like morphine and other things to ease the last week of her life when her throat completely closed up and she could not swallow. And so it was like 7-10 days before all her bodily functions and organs shut down and she passed away. What I learned in that episode was that family is family or friends or family, your family unit is really important. And actually, family is more important than religion. It's more important than your political ideology, your religious ideology, your governing philosophies. Because in those last moments, none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is the people who love you, the people who care for you. And that's what I learned. And so, what has, through my lifetime now and the accumulation of knowledge that I've accumulated through my life, I've been super religious, I've been super political. I used to vote Republican. I'm actually consider myself a political independent, but I have allied myself with more progressive causes. But none of that stuff is really all that important. I mean, it's not as important as those bonds that we make with our family, our friends, and the world around us. Because that too is important, because without this world around us, we would not have life. It's important to take care of that world around us, to be stewards of it, because that's really that is how I interpreted the Genesis 2-3 stories, where God created Adam and threw him in the garden. You know, there was all these plants and animals and things like that, and then God created the woman out of Adam. The woman came from Adam. Adam came from the earth, and Eve came from Adam. But they were tasked with this job of being caretakers, being stewards. Now, some say dominion, that word can be translated as dominion, and as our shadow selves have taken that word and run with it. Human beings really like to have dominion over other people, and dominion over the environment, and dominion over everybody but themselves. For themselves, we exist in this island kingdom of ourselves where no laws apply to us, but they apply to everybody else because we make the laws and everyone else has to follow them. But I don't really think that that's the way. I don't believe in that story. Though there's a part of me that wants to believe in that story, who likes the idea of that story, that I have dominion over the universe. God granted me dominion over the universe. No, but rather I think that we are caretakers. We are to take care of this place that gives us life. Because if we do not do this, right now the atmosphere is hazy with smoke. It's filled with the smog from burning / from logging. What was I talking about? We needed to take care of this place that gives us life, but it's not just for our benefit. It's for the benefit of the plants, the animals, the creatures, the fish in the sea. Let's go take a look at those fishies in the sea, because I have a lot of memories about this place and how much the environment has changed since I was a boy. So I'm going to come up to the creek here. Yesterday on my walk, I saw a cow right in the middle of the creek. This little path in here reminds me of Lord of the Rings and one of the roads that the hobbits traveled on, this sort of a secret roadway that the elves used to pass through the Shire and so forth. But the creek down here, when I was a kid, had steelhead in it. Steelhead are very large fish. I think that they spawn and then they go to the ocean. I think they do that life cycle, but I think I might be wrong about that. I don't remember. But steelhead, they grew as big as salmons, and this little creek here had steelhead in it. It doesn't have steelhead in it any longer, and it hasn't had steelhead in it since the 1980s. And so what changed? Well, it's how we as human beings remake the earth in our image. It's how we are stewards of it, and we are using it for our own economic means, is why this creek does not have steelhead in it, let alone fish. I mean, we're continually learning how to take care of this creation, learning how to do that. But our understanding is flawed because we cannot see very far. So like, we're in the shadows and we are trying to see through shadows and through clouds of fog, because that's what really we live in. We live in this fog of unknowing. We live in a fog of unknowing because we can't see through the fog. It's like swimming through water at night. The fog of unknowing. The fog of unknowing. That is what our lives are like here. Now, I know the fog of unknowing is a reference to one of the saints of the church. He was a church mystic. I think it was Meister Eckhart, but don't quote me there. Somebody who lived like 1,000 years ago, give or take 100 years. In the Fog of Unknowing, it is a spiritual reference, kind of like a Dark Night of the Soul kind of thing, but more or less about how difficult it is to see clear what the right thing to do is in a spiritual sense. But I'm using this cloud of unknowing in a different sense, and that as we as human beings, taking care of the earth, cannot see beyond our noses, and so we've made a lot of mistakes. And with our rivers and waterways, clear cutting is a mistake. However, if economics is your goal, and you are bettering yourself and taking from the land to create a living, because we all need money, we all need to have a means to make money in this world, and one of the ways is by taking resources from the ground and reprocessing it into things that people can use. The consequences of logging in that fashion is it destroys all of this stuff down here that holds water. The mosses, the underbrush, and everything, all the plants and all these roots and everything that stores water is gone. It's gone. And so the headwaters of this creek was logged. It's probably been logged twice now. And so the reason we don't have steelhead in here anymore is because of logging the headwaters and destroying that ecosystem that allowed water to be stored and filtered all year around. But it just didn't happen here. It happens all over the place, all over the Pacific Northwest, all over the world, that logging has been going on. And that's how we destroy rivers and so forth. Now, if we were smart and we were not acting through a fog of unknowing, we would let whole vast areas of nation states go completely wild, allow no human habitation in them, and just let the plants do what they will. Let the plants grow, let the animals grow, let everything go completely wild. Within 20 years, maybe 100 years, a lot of these systems would regenerate. That's one thing that we could do to be good stewards of this earth, is to let these creatures, let these beings live out their life according to their own will, to not be interfered with by human beings seeking dollars and cents. But just let them become habitat. Let them do what they do best. Let them be free to live their lives uninterfered by us. And that is one positive thing that we could do for this world. And of course, there's a lot of other things. You know, we do need to change the energy grid from petroleum to other sources. But maybe we too need to take a step back and use more muscle power to farm the lands, more quieter methods, use less energy, travel less, don't go from continent to continent on airplanes, maybe go back to traveling from continent to continent by ships, by boats. Just get used to a smaller life, a life that's much simpler, a life that is more free from distractions. And when you are more free from distractions, it's kind of easier to see through that fog of unknowing. Because like in the Bible, it talks about Jesus was walking in the hills and walking in the wilderness and spending time alone in the wilderness, thinking and connecting and feeling. Because all of these things have a life force and a life energy. You can feel it. When you're not talking about things on the camera and trying to make a point, and you are quiet in your own mind, and you can feel the life force of these magnificent beings, these projections of consciousness, these projections of source consciousness, because source consciousness is in everything, including us. But anyway, I digress. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I was talking about how I was going through major withdrawal symptoms from Facebook. How I was going through major withdrawal symptoms from Facebook. That's what I was talking about. It's been like 3 days. I'm really curious to know what my friends think about things. But I really got to do this for my own sanity. And also so I can give more energy to my channel. I can give energy to my channel to try to add value to, maybe I add value to your life, maybe I don't. I probably don't. Probably what I say is just seems like total bullshit. I don't know. I'm going to give my time to my family, to my little dog. And I heard this tree crash about 2 days ago. I knew it sounded like a tree fell over. This isn't quite on my property line. My property line is over here about 15 feet, I believe. Yeah, it's probably, this is on neighbor's property. And so these alder trees, they got like a 20, 40-year lifespan. So you can see this tree is quite well rotten by now. They don't have the same lifespan that evergreens do. This looks like a maple. Maples live longer than alders. Let me see, where is the property line? I believe we used to have a fence that went all the way down and crossed the creek. Someplace in here. Anyway, someplace in here is where the property line is, and it goes clear out to that line. And so at one time we had like 20 goats living in here. And they had eaten all of the blackberry vines all the way to the creek, because you could stand out the back door of the house and you could just look clear across the other side. But I've let this go wild. I've let these creatures go wild and back to nature. And it provides habitat for quail. The quail are not a native species to here, but they've been introduced to here. There's quail, there's wild turkeys. What was I talking about? Going through withdrawal symptoms from Facebook. If I make it a month, then I think I will deactivate that app, maybe on a temporary basis or maybe forever, depending on the situation. I want to see if I am more spiritually well balanced by not having that source of that distraction in my life. So that you can go take a walk, quiet down your mind, and come into a place where you are at peace. Where you are at peace. maybe it's just a whole bunch of nostalgia for me because of in my earlier days of growing up, before the internet was widespread, before computers, when computers were like kits that you put together, and they used tape cassette drives to, you do basic programming. I learned on computers like that. And got together with friends and played board games and played Dungeons and Dragons and did things out in the world, played, went on hikes, became a part of the world. It just became a part of the natural world in a more harmonious way, if that is even a thing. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna come back and start streaming on Tuesday. I know that no one will ever listen to this whole thing that I say, and I'll probably speed it up just a tad bit for y'all. I may not even release it at all, because, who knows what do my words mean? What wisdom did I impart here? Nothing really at all. Just my understanding of life, my understanding of the importance of family, my understanding of the importance of your own spirituality that is freed from doctrines and whatnot, and developing your own ideas on how the world is. These are things I think that are important. Doing loving things to other people. Working, serving, and trying to not live out of your shadow self. All of these things that I talk about can be done in a world that was created completely through random, dumb luck.